Hey everybody, welcome back to Darth Snoogen's Toy Reviews. Today we're going to talk about Masters of the Universe Trapjaw. So in front of us here we have a few selections. We've got our Vintage, we've got our 2000X, our Origins, we have the CGI Netflix series version. So there's a few different versions of Trapjaw's origin story. If you're going by the mini comics, originally he was green skinned. He had silver attachments, and he was the supervillain who gets transported to Eternos. He tries to take over the powers of Castle Grayskull, and He-Man and Skeletor actually have to team up to defeat him by combining their power swords. In another version, Trapjaw is actually Kronis, who works for Eternos as the Man-at-Arms. He aligns himself with Keldor when Keldor tries to take over the throne held by King Randor, his brother. When he is defeated and becomes Skeletor, Kronis becomes Trapjaw. There's a lot more to the story, but that's the gist of it. So in this new CGI version, he is Kronis. He does end up working for Keldor, and he does get transformed into this version of Trapjaw. He's a considerably different version of Trapjaw, but he's got a lot of the same characteristics and stylings, and there's enough there to make him recognizable as Trapjaw. So, let's dig into the actual figures. So we'll start with our Vintage, and I've got him on a little stand here to help him stay upright. As most of you know, these figures are very hard to keep standing, especially the ones that use this leg molding, which is the ones that Man-E-Faces as well as Roboto use. But we'll take him off the stand here and get a good look at him. So he comes with 3 different attachments. You have his hook, you have the laser gun, and you also have the little claw / pincher. And those can be hooked onto his belt. As far as articulation is concerned, he's got his arms move up and down. You can move the legs. He has that spring back action. He also has an articulated jaw. And of course you can turn his head. And one of the features that this figure has is he's got the little hook or the little hoop on his head, where in some of the advertisements they showed him ziplining with that. And I just realized, for some reason, this guy has his belt on upside down. So see, you can remove the belt. It's got the skull and crossbones on it. The original mini-comic version, he actually had like a bull's head or ram head on his belt, not a skull and crossbones. So I'm not sure why they swapped it over to this to give you more of like a pirate look, but they did. Alright, so this is a lot of people's favorite character from Masters of the Universe. I would be one of those people, and I have friends that always say that that's their favorite as well. Alright, so we're going to put him back, and then we're going to jump forward to the 2002 series, where we got this version of Trapjaw. It's a very cool, very techno, very extreme version of Trapjaw. He retains the articulated jaw. You have movement on the arms. You can rotate the wrist. He does have a bend at the elbow for his robotic arm. Move the legs back and forth. And these are the same legs basically that were used on that Man-E-Faces that I did in the other video. His belt also has the little loops where you can hook his attachments. I am missing his pincher attachment, unfortunately, but I did pick this up loose, so it's not that surprising. But I do like the hook That's very cool. Yes, I really dig this figure. I just wish he would have had some articulation in the legs that made him easier to stand. Again, these early 2000s figures just had these weird poses where, I mean, it looked cool, but it just wasn't really all that functional as an action figure. They're more for posing, which might have been part of the reason that toy line didn't last. So, jumping ahead to the Origins line, we get this new modern take on our vintage Trapjaw. Looking very much like the vintage, with a nice little added articulation at the elbow that we did not have with that original. You do have all the attachments exactly the same as the original. You just, like I said, you get all this different articulation. The coloring's a little different. So yes, they did change up a few things. Most noticeably would be the face and the eyes, and of course we lost the eyebrows, which is an odd choice. All in all, this is a great figure. I was really happy to see this modern update on this classic figure, and it just really fits in with my collection, and it's one of my favorites. So we'll put him back in the lineup here for a minute, and then let's take a look at our 2021 Trapjaw. Now this is from the kids line. We don't really get a lot of bells and whistles with this. You have your basic articulation, arm, head, you got legs. There's no rotation in the foot. You do get that spring action, which is, you know, decent for the figure. Now, as far as his robotic arm, there's no attachments. You just get the spinning, or rotating, I guess I should say. It doesn't really do a whole lot. But you can put in this little blast effect and shoot it out by pushing it through. Personally, don't care for that. I normally don't even keep that in when I'm displaying this figure. For a $10 kids toy, I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm just glad to see the character live on for a new generation to appreciate. Before we move on to the Masterverse Trapjaw, I need to give an honorable mention to another figure that came out in this line, Kronis, from the 2-pack with Keldor, The Rise of Evil. This is our precursor to Trapjaw. This is his alternate identity. I would have done an unboxing for the Keldor and Kronis, but honestly, this figure is very lacking as far as talking about it. I just thought I would mention it here. It doesn't really have a whole lot going for it. The face sculpt's kind of silly. All you get as far as an accessory basically is this gun. He does have this removable harness, but other than that, it's just a basic figure. You're actually getting quite less with this figure than you did with his standard release Trapjaw. But it made sense to mention him here. Maybe one day we'll get the Kronis version of this Trapjaw, which is a pretty cool looking design character, so hopefully we'll see that one soon. One other one I think I'll do before we get into the Masterverse. And I'm going to make some room. I'm going to move these fellas over to the left here. From the WWE line, we got Stone Cold Steve Austin, the unpredictable bionic rattlesnake. I just recently picked this up, and I thought maybe it would be neat to open him up here. So he does come with the pincher and the hook, but it looks like with this one they did not include the laser gun attachment. So let me get that out here, which is kind of weird because he's still got the same belt that has the hooks on it. You see there's the other attachment. Now what I thought was funny about this figure when I saw the advertisements for it, of course he has the robotic jaw, but it's completely removable. Such a weird toy. But they really went outside the box with the Masters of the Universe line. So I thought that was a neat figure to compare. So let's go ahead and let's stand him up next to our Origins Trap Jaw to get a good comparison, since they share so many of the same parts. And yes, those are the same legs, they're just painted completely different. That's a nice deco on the jacket there. Kind of cool. And I imagine there's a lot of people that's been buying up these stone codes just to make that mini comic version of Trapjaw that we still haven't received in the Origins line. But he had the silver part, so that would have made total sense for that to be used. Yeah, so just all the standard articulation. Alright, so I'm going to get him out of the way here. And we're going to move on. We're going to move on to our Masterverse. Alright, so with Masterverse figures, you basically have this lip right here with one or two pieces of tape that you can just cut. So I'm going to cut that tape. I didn't pick up the Triclops figure yet. That one's on my list. So I'll definitely be displaying this in his standard look without using the additional accessories. Let's do this. And unlike the other ones, he actually has some little tabs on his. Was not expecting that. And stand him up while I get his accessories out. Alright, finally, got all his accessories out. Let's take a look at his attachments first. And we'll go through all the articulation. So we got the laser gun. We got the claw. And we've got the hook, which is probably what I will display him with. Alright, let's go through some of the articulation. Alright, so you've got the standard arm articulation movement as with the other Masterverse figures. Rotation at the hands. You got the elbows. Let's see, legs, knees, foot, You got the rotation at the ankle. Unfortunately, all his accessories seem to make him a little less posable. I don't know if it's because of this belt. If I take that off, he does have the little bit of the ab crunch, and you can turn it to waist. And it's kind of weird that you have a belt and then another belt, but I mean, I guess they did that with the original toy as well, but it still seems a little weird when you look at it here. Okay, so we're going to put on his robe. We're going to give him his Techno cult look. Alright, so here's our Techno Cult version of Trapjaw. And honestly, I don't really mind it that much. Unlike that Triclops with that big hat, which was just over the top, this actually kind of looks cool. I don't mind it. Maybe I'll give this robe to that naked Savage He-Man and give him something to wear. Alright, so we'll get him back to his normal look. Just wanted to see what that looked like there for a moment. Alright, so we got him back to his classic look. So now we want to compare him to his counterparts. So let's bring in, we got our vintage. See, there's a huge size comparison between those two. We got our origins. We'll bring in our 2000X and our Netflix. So there's our 5 standard looks. Yeah, so it's kind of hard to get them all in the frame here. Let's move it around just a little bit. And the 2000X guy is just kind of big and bulky, so we'll move him to the back. And it's the same way with the 2021 series. Let's do this. Alright, so that's kind of a cool shot to see them all together like that. We can even bring in Kronis. And we can bring in Stone Cold. Alright, so it wouldn't be a good comparison video if we don't at least measure them. So let's focus on, we'll put our extra guys away. Kronis and Stone Cold, appreciate your service, but we're going to set you off to the side for now. And we're going to do this in order. We will start with our vintage. Now he is on a stand, so I'm going to place this on the stand so when we get our measurement it's accurate. And you're at the 5.5 inch, as is all the vintage figures for the most part. Our 2000X, 5 3/4, so he's fairly close to 6 inches. Our Origins figure, pretty much the same height as the 2000X, 5 3/4. We'll do our CGI, and he's at the 5.5. And let's bring in our big boy here, our Masterverse figure. And with the little loop on his head, he actually is over 7 inches tall. Very nice. As far as my favorite, though, I mean, I really love the Origins. I think the Origins does such a good job of capturing the magic of the vintage figure. Now, don't get me wrong, I love the vintage figure, but it has aged. And it's not something I want to handle a whole lot just because I want to preserve it. So it's a great display piece, and I'm certainly glad to have it. And I like the 2000X okay, and I like the 2021 series okay. In all honesty, I mean, I think the Masterverse one's a nice figure. But the Origins, that's going to be my favorite. Because it's just pure trap jaw. Again, thanks for watching. Everybody have a great day.